The Trump Justice Department releasing more than 13,000 new Epstein files, but the DOJ is facing backlash already over the so-called limited release. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche posting the Department of Justice publicly released materials related to Jeffrey Epstein under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Additional responsive materials will be produced as our review continues, consistent with the law and with protections for victims. Due to the volume, the DOJ says they will be releasing the files on a rolling basis. With the ongoing release of the files, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that their mission for justice is still the same. Writing in part, the Department of Justice previously stated, "We will bring charges against anyone involved in the trafficking and exploitation of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. We reaffirm this commitment and ask any victim to please come forward with any information pertaining to any individuals who engage in illicit activity at their expense." Okay, so this is one of those things where we've all wanted answers with Jeffrey Epstein, but does this release end up causing more questions than answers, Mercy? Are we going to just keep hearing about it?
Yeah, I don't think this story is going away anytime soon, especially when you have the case of Maria Farmer, who basically went to the FBI, filed a complaint back in 1996, and the FBI ignored her, Alex. I mean, that is just simply outrageous.
Yeah.
They literally said that her story was fabricated, and they didn't even get a response till about 10 years later. It just shows that there was no concern about helping these victims. It was trying to solve it through, these sweetheart deals.
Yes.
And basically protect Jeffrey Epstein. It is absolutely disgusting. And it's why you're seeing that there's a bipartisan approach in basically ensuring that these files are released.
Two things that you just mentioned. First, looking into the latest Epstein file drop, it's been revealed a woman who once worked for Jeffrey Epstein filed a complaint to the FBI, which Mercy referenced, about his interest in child pornography specifically. That was back in 1996. Almost a decade before investigators began looking at his behavior. The woman, Maria Farmer, praised the release of the files, saying, "I've waited 30 years. I can't believe it. They can't call me a liar anymore." She also said she was grateful to be vindicated, but heartbroken that the FBI did not take steps to stop Epstein until years after her report. And so you mentioned her, Mercy, but you also mentioned that 2008 plea deal. And that's something that I've often questioned. I thought it was so abnormal, okay, that there was included in that plea deal immunity for co-conspirators. Mm-hmm. It's something I really haven't seen much of. I think it was specifically named for Rob. I mean, how should we be looking at that or going all the way back to 1996?
Yeah, I think we should go back to 1996. Who happened to be president in 1996, if not Bill Clinton, who had several photos that were part of this recent release, and quite incriminating if you ask me. So not only was it the Clinton administration, but then it was the presidents who followed. And you just have to wonder what was going on in 2008 in that plea deal, as you raised, to why the government would decide to go down that path when there seems to be so much incriminating evidence here about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, there's 30 years. It involves, you mentioned President Bill Clinton. We've seen pictures surface of him with a number of women who have their face blacked out, which obviously signals that they were underage at the time. I guess, Jason, I know you've been passionate about this. We're talking about Bill Clinton, but to be fair, like, this has been something that has been kept quiet for under many presidents, Republican and Democrat alike. So do you feel like you're getting any more answers?
Right now, I feel like there's, I'm with a lot of people who think that this is a cover-up. I think there are a lot of things that we're not getting. They did not meet the deadline. They're clearly breaking the law. Kash Patel, during the summertime, I believe it was in July, said he had looked at the files, that there was no one else involved other than Jeffrey Epstein. And all of a sudden, now they haven't looked at the files and they're releasing it piecemeal. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people should be frustrated. It's not just, it's not about who was president at the time. I mean,
or who
Donald Trump
DOJ.
was his best friend at the time in 1996. So, I don't think that's necessarily material. It's what we need to know is what we can actually prove and what is in those files. And we're not getting them when you redact 550 pages of the files. That is literally 2 or 3 dissertations worth of
By
documents.
the way, they were not best
blacked
friends.
out.
Let's make that clear. President Trump called him a creep.
According to Jeffrey Epstein, they were best friends.
Mar-a-Lago. I think the best friend is Bill Clinton and
that's not what
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Epstein.
Epstein said.
And someone who's not saying anything is Hillary Clinton. Boy, we haven't heard a peep from that woman.
Well,
information, truth, is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.